Now at 5, the city of Joplin announces its new police chief. Plus, Pitt State opens its new simulation hospital at its nursing school, and
Donald Trump pleads not guilty. I'm Skyler Henry with the former president's decision to skip an in-person arraignment in Georgia.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
City of Joplin has a brand new police chief. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Rich Pearson will step into that role. The city made the announcement today. Pearson's currently the captain of the Jefferson County Public School System Police Department in Louisville, Kentucky. He served 22 years with the Louisville Metro Police Department. He'll begin at Joplin on December 18th. Authorities in Pittsburgh have arrested a suspect who they say assaulted people on the Pitt State campus. Campus police said the assault happened at 9:47 last night at the intersection of Ford and Homer Streets. They say the suspect and all victims are current Pitt State students, though they did not say how many victims there were. The suspect was arrested shortly after the incident near Carney Smith Stadium. Pitt State aims to attract more future healthcare workers by opening a simulation hospital. The $8 million addition was funded by private donors. Students will be able to work on a variety of AI-made patients performing different procedures. That 10,000 square foot simulation hospital includes preparation rooms, waiting areas, and more environments to immerse students and prepare them for the real deal.
It is so much different than a real patient, but I also think it's so much alike that I'm super excited to be able to use it, and hopefully it'll better my understanding of real patients whenever the time comes.
Originally, the nursing school held approximately 65 students. Now it can accommodate 120. Former President Donald Trump took the next step in the sprawling legal case, accusing him of trying to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. Reporter Skyler Henry has the latest developments.
Former President Donald Trump chose not to show up at the Georgia courthouse, using a 2-page filing to waive a formal arraignment and enter his plea of not guilty. That means the current GOP frontrunner will not have to appear for the scheduled hearing next week. And it allows him to avoid the spectacle of entering a plea on camera, just days after the release of his booking photo.
He's controlling the visual narrative. It telegraphs his desire to tightly control the images that we see, particularly concerning these cases.
The Georgia case is Trump's 4th indictment. It accuses the former president and 18 others of scheming to subvert the will of voters. Those charges are triggering calls from the right to impeach the district attorney. Some Georgia Republicans are pushing for a special session to remove or discipline Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis. But Governor Brian Kemp, himself a Republican, forcefully rejected those calls, saying they could be unconstitutional.
In the state of Georgia, as long as I'm governor, we're going to follow the law and the Constitution, regardless of who it helps or harms politically. And in Georgia, we will not be engaging in political theater that only inflames the emotions of the moment.
Kemp has refused to endorse Trump's claims about a stolen election and says punishing the DA would create a distraction that will hurt Republicans at the ballot box. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Fulton County prosecutors have asked for an October trial date. During a news conference in Kentucky, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell froze during a question and answer session. It's the second time this summer the 81-year-old Kentucky senator has suddenly stopped speaking for a number of seconds during a news conference. The senator's office says he became momentarily lightheaded. McConnell did attend a fundraiser later in the day. Still ahead, filling up before heading out.
Filling up could soon get cheaper. I'm Haley Ott with a look at gas prices for Labor Day and beyond.
And next in Health Watch, a life-saving overdose medication will soon be made more easily available. Topping today's Health Watch, the first over-the-counter drug used to reverse opioid overdose is expected in retail stores and online as soon as next week, according to its manufacturer. Reporter Mandy Gaither has a look at where the drug will be sold and how much it'll cost.
With a record number of people dying from opioids, The first antidote to reverse overdoses is about to be available over the counter.
We'll begin to have naloxone in our stores September 5th. And at the same time, we're going to make the naloxone available online.
Walgreens chief medical officer says it'll take a couple of days to get naloxone, known by the brand name Narcan, in all their stores. The drug will also be sold in stores and online at Rite Aid, Walmart, and CVS. It has a suggested retail price of $44.99 per carton of 2 doses.
We really don't want there to be any stigma involved. So we've made this available at the front end of the store, over the desk, but also in the back end of the store, over by the pharmacy.
The opioid crisis is being driven by powerful synthetic drugs like fentanyl. Narcan is a nasal spray version of naloxone and can revive a person from an overdose in minutes. And Dr. Trent Hall at the Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center says it's easy to use.
Step 1, check. Wake up. Step 2, give first dose of Narcan. Step 3, call 911. Step 4, watch and give more every 2 to 3 minutes until the person wakes up.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The FDA approved another nasal spray naloxone called Revive in July. The manufacturer says it's going to sell at cost starting in early 2024 at $36 per 2-pack. Young boys who smoke in their early teens could be doing damage to their future unborn children. Researchers looked at 875 people between the ages of 7 and 50 and the smoking behaviors of their fathers. In children with dads who smoked before the age of 15, they found key changes linked to asthma, obesity, and low lung function. Scientists say the findings show interventions for young people could help protect not just them, but also future generations. Getting treated for snoring issues might help prevent other health concerns. Sleep specialists in Iceland analyzed people with obstructive sleep apnea who did and did not use CPAP machines to treat the condition. They found those who regularly use the devices for 2 years are around 42% less likely to have nighttime heartburn and around 4 times less likely to get chronic bronchitis or have a bad morning cough. And that is a look at today's health news. Doug is up next with his complete forecast. And a little bit later, Pitt State and Missouri Southern are less than 2 hours from kickoff. We're going to preview both games.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today. Temperatures pretty good once again. Most of us into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees for afternoon highs, but it's Thursday and the drought tracker comes out on Thursday. Of course, we haven't had any heavy amounts of rain for about 2.5 weeks, so we could use a little bit of rain. So if we zoom in, here's our updated drought tracker. You can still see our southern counties dry, but not awful. But once you get from Joplin to Pittsburgh, it gets even drier. And then we get into an extreme drought, Vernon County over towards Stockton Lake. And then again, our far western counties. It has improved a bit from Chanute over toward Iola and also Parsons, but still, we really need the rain across the region. And unfortunately, we just don't have much in the way of rain chances as we go through the next few days. For the month, we ended up pretty good. 3.85 inches, but unfortunately, most of that rain was the first half of the month. So we haven't seen much rain. So we're almost 10 inches behind where we should be. Temperatures right now, mainly into the mid to upper 80s, 85 Neosho, 85 in Pittsburgh, 91 in Independence. Nowata is sitting at 89 degrees, but at least the humidity isn't that bad. Most of us across the region are seeing dew points into the mid to upper 50s. So if you look at our dew point tracker, that makes us feel pretty pleasant outside. So we're not seeing those lower 80s dew points like we had last week when we had heat indices above 120. 87 right now, feels like 85. Visibility, great. If you want to get outside this evening, it looks fantastic. We drop back through the 80s, 70s, eventually into the 60s. In fact, most of us are going to drop back into the upper 50s for overnight lows. Few little cumulus clouds out there, but in general, it looks pretty good. not too much is going on across the entire Central Plains. It's actually pretty quiet. We are tracking a little upper level wave down across the northern parts of the Gulf of Mexico, and that could give us some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms by the holiday. But until then, you can see not much is going on across the lower 48, so it's pretty clear. If we look out toward the east, the remnants of what once was Hurricane Idalia is now pretty much falling apart as it moves across the eastern seaboard. So that is long gone as of now. Let's go through time. We drop back upper 50s for us tonight. By the noon hour, we warm into lower 80s, and then we get into the upper 80s to near 90 again. Pretty much a carbon copy of what we have seen today. High temps 91 in Parsons, 89 in Miami, Lamar up to about 87. Tomorrow night, we drop back near 60 once again. Then as we go into Saturday afternoon, high temperatures a little bit warmer as we go into lower 90s for afternoon highs. Day planner for you, 60 to start, 81 by noon. High temp right around 89 degrees. I think by 4 p.m. we'll be sitting right around 86, 87 degrees. 89 for us tomorrow, 93 Saturday, 93 on Sunday. On Labor Day itself, up to about 92 degrees, and then we shoot up into the mid-90s by the time we head into next week. But thankfully, we do get some rain chances in the forecast because, Dow, we really need it, especially by the time we get into next week.
Yeah, we've been in drought conditions for some time. In some areas, it's really severe. Doug, thank you so much. Hey, Pitt State and Missouri Southern are both kicking off their seasons tonight at home. KOAM Sports Director John Dales is live at Kearney Smith Stadium with a look at the Gorillas' first game.
Yeah, thanks, Dow. Welcome into Kearney Smith Stadium on the campus of Pitt State University. The Gorillas get their 2023 campaign started tonight, and they're coming off an 11-0 regular season last year that ended in the playoffs with a loss to Ferris State, the eventual national champions. But this is a team that's ranked number 4 for a reason. They bring back a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. Starting first with the offense, though, they bring back the starting quarterback, Chad Dodson. They also have a couple of weapons that he can throw it to at any time. Devin Garrison and Colby Katzis at tight end and wide receiver. Those guys were big impact players last season, and there are a couple of players that Chad Dodson is excited about getting involved in the offense again this year.
I think the biggest thing about Colby is just the way he plays, how fast he plays. Everything he does is full speed, whether that's in the run game, trying to cut off a safety and get a block, or whether he's just running a post down the middle of the field. He plays full speed every snap. So it's really fun to play with a guy like that. And then Devin, I think everyone's seen it. You can throw a ball in any general area and he's going to catch it. So I think they've both stepped up. I think Colby has been really vocal and stepped up into a leadership role, which is big for our receiver room. So really excited for them and what they can do this year.
And some information about Washburn, the team coming in here to Pitt State, trying to pull off the upset. Last year they go 7-4, lost in the game to Pitt State 37-23, but winners of 3 of their last 4 contests at the end of the regular season, so bring a little bit of momentum in. They did lose 2 of their best wide receivers from last year, though, J.J. Letcher and Peter Affel, 2 guys that combined for 1,800 receiving yards, 18 touchdowns last year, so that's a big matchup to watch out for in this one. The experienced defensive backfield of Pitt State, led by Michael Lacey, who's an All-American and team captain, going against the inexperience from Washburn at the wide receiver position. But anyways, not the only college football game going on in the 4 states area tonight. For more on Missouri Southern's season opener, we go over to Fred Hughes Stadium with Brock Baldridge.
Hey John, I'm out here at Fred G. Hughes Stadium where the Missouri Southern Lions are going to kick off their season against one of the premier college Division II football programs in the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. Now, kickoff's going to be a little bit cooler than we've had, in recent months, and with all the heat and everything. And it's a little bit windy out here, so that could play a little bit of a factor in the game. But Northwest Missouri State comes into Fred G. Hughes Stadium, and the history between these two teams, it's really been all Northwest. Whether it's been a blowout or even close games, they've always had kind of that edge over Missouri Southern. The last time Missouri Southern beat Northwest Missouri State was in 1994. So you definitely know the Missouri Southern Lions are going to be hungry coming into tonight. And I think this will be a really interesting game coming out of the gate. You know, which team punches the other team in the mouth and so on. But, you know, I really think this is really going to come down to a defensive battle. You know, both teams have great defenses, especially Northwest Missouri State, for as good as they've been for 20 plus years. You know, it'll really be interesting to see how Missouri Southern will come out of the gate. How will they defend them? And how will Northwest Missouri State defend the Missouri Southern offense? And lastly, you know, I think this is going to be a much closer game than we've seen in years past, and I'm really excited to see what Atiba Bradley can show out this year. And now we'll toss it back over to the studio, back to Dow quick.
All right. Thank you so much, Brock. Boy, a great night for a ball game in two communities. Thanks again. Coming up, with an increased number of drivers expected to hit the road this Labor Day weekend, we're going to tell you what you can expect to pay at the pump. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the annual cost of owning and operating a new car has soared to new heights. AAA says the average cost this year is $12,182 annually, or $1,015 per month. It's a big jump from 2022 when the average cost was just $10,728 per year. The increase is being driven in part by record high vehicle prices and a 90% jump in finance rates. Millions of Americans are leaving town for one last summer trip. Labor Day weekend travel is expected to be busier than last year, and most vacationers are going to be driving. Reporter Haley Yachts tells us what they can expect at the pump.
Gas prices saw a small drop last week, but they're creeping up again in some places, with the national average about 8 cents a gallon more than a month ago, according to AAA. For many, that's too much.
It is really expensive, so it kind of sucks.
Despite the pain some are feeling at the pump, prices are practically a repeat from 2022.
Labor Day this year is likely to be virtually identical to what motors were paying last year.
Fuel analyst Patrick DeHaan says with summer coming to a close, prices should start dropping after Labor Day, barring any surprises.
I do think that the trend will remain downwards for the potential of the next few weeks, especially as we get into mid and late September. That's when a combination of the transition back to cheaper winter gasoline and falling gasoline demand should pave the way for lower prices. And if things go well, if there are no surprises or curveballs, the national average could fall 35 to 50 cents a gallon by the end of the year.
That's good news for drivers struggling with the current cost of a fill-up.
It's expensive, but we can't really do much about it.
Experts say one thing you can do is shop around. Costco, Sam's Club, and other wholesale stores offer discounted gas. And apps like Gas Buddy, AAA, and Google Maps list prices at stations in your area. That can help you get to your holiday destination with a few more bucks in your pocket. Haley Ott, CBS News, New York.
Hey, Dodge muscle car owners, listen up. The Dodge Charger SRT, Hellcat, and Hemi have again topped the list of the most stolen vehicles for model years 2020 through 2022. That's according to the Highway Lost Data Institute. The Infiniti Q50 was number 3, and 4 Kia models made the top 20 list following a viral social media trend targeting that brand. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, how one school district is improving math scores as the national average declines. Then on KOAM News at 6, Pittsburgh police give an update on a shooting in a bar earlier this month. Plus, we're going to have more on the opening of Pitt State's new simulation hospital. CBS Evening News, then KOAM News at 6. It's warm, but overall a nice night out there. Let's check back with Doug.
Yeah, it looks pretty good as we go through the evening hours. We're going to drop back through the 80s, 70s, and then eventually all the way down to about 58 later on tonight. 89 for us tomorrow. 90 start to creep in as we go into the holiday weekend, plus a few chances for showers and thunderstorms.
Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us again. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.